America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda. Town of Marlborough Planning Board, January 5th, 2026, regular meeting, 7 p.m. We'll approve the minutes for December 15th, 2026. We have a new application review for 40 Western Avenue, sketch site plan, and LaFaro Timber Harvest for sketch and site plan. I would like to add for special topics, Jen and I had some discussions in the meetings. What's a completed application and when does it go on the agenda? And then I'd also like to have a short discussion and get member input about video recording our future planning board meetings. I think it's long overdue that we do that. So we'll talk about that. So with that, if I can get a motion to accept the amendment on the agenda.
I make that motion to accept those.
Thanks, Cindy. And second? Seconded by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, wonderful. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th, 2026?
I make that motion.
We've got a motion from Fred. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then announcements. Fred, do you have some announcements?
Yes, after 2 hours of training, I completed the course of zoning, basics for environment officials and board members. 2 hours.
Okay.
Thank you.
And John, do you have a couple of training hours?
Yes, I received 4 hours of training. The first was innovations and best practices for planning and zoning. The second was preparing update for growth. The third is climate resilience planning in the Mid-Hudson region. And the fourth is working with developers to foster investment in the community, all totaling 4 hours.
Wonderful. Well, you want to get them out of the way?
Yeah, well, I have the time.
All right. So I'd also like to recognize and welcome Nick Boswell to the board. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. And then the town board decided this year to, with all of the boards, to have a deputy appointed. So Fred Cowell has been appointed the deputy for our planning board. So welcome. I'm sure that'll show up in your paycheck.
Oh, yeah, already did.
Right? Okay. And then I'd also, Fred has also volunteered to be the alternate for the Ulster County Planning Board, and Cindy will take you under her wings. And
We're actually going to attend a meeting together on Wednesday.
wonderful, outstanding.
We'll be ready.
All right.
We'll be here.
Okay. So with that, let's move right into 40 Western Avenue. Good evening. How are you? Just state your name, if you would.
Representing 40 Western Avenue.
I'm sorry, if you're talking on the mic.
So it's Ken Lytle,
Ken?
representing 40 Western Avenue, LLC.
Wonderful, welcome. Why don't you talk about your project, please?
So it's an existing building, around 3,300 square feet for 2 floors. And the whole site is approximately 10,000 square feet. It's currently being used by his wife as a salon upstairs with a caretaker's apartment in the property. And he's looking to finish up the basement and use that for himself as a small office. He does roofing and siding, so he's looking to have somebody, stop by, see some samples, those type of things, and move on. Here actually, there'll be hang 2 shingles on the site. Tom, the building inspector, says we need to come for a whole site plan for that reason.
Okay, thank you. Pat, you want to go through your comments?
Sure. I'd like to get a picture or a breakdown of what is in the building. And I didn't know, nowhere did I see in the application there was a caretaker apartment on the site already.
Okay.
So we'll get a handle on that. It's a type 2 action as a reuse of a commercial building and an existing structure. A narrative should be identified. We just heard the narrative that we should issue that in. We did not receive what I call a gatekeeper letter from the building department. So I think that should be submitted there and clarify some of those uses. It's located on a county highway, so submission to county public works and county planning will be required. Submission to the jurisdictional fire water and sewer department, and the building is connected to public utilities should be provided.
Any comments from the board? So where are we going from here?
And Mr. Heigl should address these comments and make another submission.
Okay.
Whatever we get at that. Once we get that more detailed information, it will be accepted to send the county.
Sounds good.
That's how.
No, there was never a site plan done on this, correct?
There's never been a site plan, so it's not an amended site plan, this is the site plan.
This is gonna be the site plan. I mean, I went to dinner there many times,
I have field reviewed the site myself.
just never been in the basement. So, okay, well, thank you.
Well, thanks so much.
Wonderful. LaFaro Timber Harvest.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Prentice, certified forester, Lower Hudson Forestry Services, presenting for the Faro Timber Harvest. What we're proposing is a commercial selective timber harvest on 3 undeveloped tax parcels on State Route 44 and 55. The 3 parcels total 131.9 acres, of which approximately 105 acres are slated for harvesting. There's a total of 1,513 saw timber and 82 firewood trees that were marked with blue paint by a certified forester, and it comes out to about roughly 15 trees per acre, which are being removed. Property was harvested in 2014, and then this would be the follow-up harvest to release the regeneration that was triggered from that 2014 harvest. We don't plan on doing any excavating, stumping, clearing, grading, anything of that nature. Trees will be utilized down to approximately a 10-inch top. Tops will be lopped to approximately 3 feet off the ground to aid in the decomposition process. There is no DEC regulated wetlands, streams, federal wetlands on the property. Property is not within a critical environmental area, nor are there any rare, threatened, endangered species on or adjacent to the site. Topography varies from rolling to flat to portions of it are fairly steep. So our erosion control plan is to follow New York State forestry best management practices, installing erosion control devices such as water bars, where specified, depending on slope, and also depending on the forester's discretion. 2014, we used a pre-existing landing that was DOT approved. That entrance and landing is still there. The owner has been putting gravel into it periodically, so it's well maintained, very accessible for truck access. You know, we will probably have to put some extra crushed stone in to prevent debris from being tracked out onto the state road. It's expected to take anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks to complete, depending on weather. You know, during wet periods, there wouldn't be much work there, but dry or frozen periods would be ideal. And I think, you know, there were some questions from Pat in terms of, you know, that the trees were marked, like I say, with blue paint at breast height and one at the stump, all marked by a certified forester. You know, we understand the town code for work hours and days. You know, and then the time frame, like I said, anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks should be sufficient.
Okay.
My first time having in front How many men are on the job site? What kind of equipment is brought in? You mentioned it takes 8 to 12 weeks. Are these local people? Are these people like a crew that just travels around the nation and does this type of work? Do they live in campers? What time of the year do you guys start?
Well, to answer your first part, the crew is from Sullivan County, so fairly local. And they don't stay in campers or motels or anything like that on site. They go home each day. You know, the crew that's going to do it, I think there's 4 individuals. So there's 2 that will be operating skidders, which are essentially kind of large farm tractors built for the woods. Then there's a gentleman who's doing the cutting. Some of it will be cut by hand, some of it will be cut mechanically. And then there's another person that does the loading of the trucks.
And where are they shipped? Where's all this logging shipped to after they leave you guys? Where does it go?
A mill bought this timber, so most of it will be sawed in Davenport, New York, which is North Catskills. High-end material does get shipped around the world: China, Japan, Vietnam. So it's a pretty worldwide industry.
Interesting. Thank you.
And could you just answer, when would you, plan on beginning and possibly ending this?
You know, since there's no seasonal restrictions, I guess it's open. Currently, the purchaser's plan is to do it sometime late spring, early summer. But, you know, depending on market conditions and weather, that could change. But right now, currently, the plan is sometime, you know, April, May, in that range.
There's no wildlife issues for times of the year, bats or something?
No, there aren't any. Some sites, that's a challenge, but this site doesn't have, based on the EAF submitted, there are no time of year restrictions. If we were a little further south, we would.
Anybody else? Pat, you want to go through your comments?
Sure. Mr. President, I'm much up on the way. My first one just states what the project is: 105 acre harvest on of 131.9. 15 trees per acre is about average. 10 to 15 trees per acre is an average timber harvest for this area in New York. Access is from the state highway. The previous 2014, I have an email in the file from 2013 from the then DOT permit person that just kind of wrote an email saying this is acceptable. In 2026, we're going to want to have a letter from DOT, and we'll circulate this once we get the long form EAF we're going to discuss later. This is being reviewed under Chapter 141 trees of your code, which is specific to timber harvesting and clearing of trees. The application does comply with the various requirements of 141.5. We know that the work hours in that section are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., no Saturdays, no Sundays, no holidays. We're suggesting performance security be provided. If DOT requires performance security for the roadway, we will leave that to them, and then a $1,000 inspection fee for the town to do inspections during and after. Timber harvesting is specifically exempt from your MS4 stormwater code as silvicultural activities. We discussed the time frame of 8 to 12 weeks. There's a section of the code regarding trees within 50 feet of property line. I don't know if you mark any within that close to the property line.
Generally not, simply because typically I don't like to mark stuff right near property lines, especially if there's a dispute. So generally 40 to 50 feet is kind of the buffer that we leave from the property lines.
Your code says that if trees are felled within 50 feet and lands on adjacent property, it must be immediately removed.
Yes.
That's unique. Most codes say you can't cut trees within 50 feet, but yours is a little more permissive. It is subject to a public hearing, and I think we should, in discussing with Hannah, that we should get a long form EAF, circulate lead agency to DOT, and at that point we'd be in a position to schedule a public hearing. But I think the information's all here that we need, but procedurally I think we need to do that.
Okay.
I just have
Yeah, go
a
ahead,
question. How does this interact with the ridgeline protection and steep slope laws?
I'm not sure it's above the 700 elevation. really doesn't have that impact of view shed, it's selective harvesting.
Do you think that we should go out and just do an inspection,
I
and
can
make
do
sure
that.
that certain amounts of, that the marked, trees are not too many that it would begin to affect the ridge line?
I can, but again, this is a follow-up harvest from 2014, so I guess those trees that were left now are probably 15 to 20 feet higher than they were before.
Yeah, and just because of the topography too, you're not gonna be able to see it from either Bailey's Gap or 4455 because of the rolling topography. You know, from a distance, I think it would be very difficult to even tell after the project was done and was harvested.
But I can take a look. Almost up for a walk in the woods.
You've made the suggestion that we put in, additional, monies for inspections
Yes.
to be done, so that would fall under that.
More of that is, I mean, they have the application, but more of that is for afterwards to make sure that the erosion, the water bars that were mentioned, that the whole roads are in good shape as they're leaving, that the trees are lopped down to the 3-foot height so that they are unsightly. Within 3 to 4 years of a timber harvest, you wouldn't know what happened if it's done in the way Mr. Prentice does. I'm familiar with Mr. Prentice's work, he's worked in many municipalities, and we've never had an issue with any of the work he's done. I'm actually familiar with green logging as well, the ones that are doing it, they're pretty active in the area as timber harvesting. It was greens, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think since we do have that on the books, that it might be good to just take a look at the areas that fall within that, protection area.
I can do that. And again, there's no stumping, so there's minimal disturbance, it's all roads and what the landing zone there, that's already gravel. But I'll take a look at it.
Okay. So we should declare lead agency?
Well, actually, before we move forward with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman LaFaro, could you just say for the record what your relation to these LaFaros and whether there's a potential conflict there or not?
They're second cousins. I would feel that there's a potential issue, that's why I didn't accuse myself.
Yeah, no financial,
No.
anything? Good, great, thank you, just for the record. And then as far as, seeker, the only, procedurally, the only type of application that requires seeker to be completed before there's a public hearing is for subdivisions. But some guidance that I got from the Department of State suggested that it may be advisable for boards to go ahead and work through seeker. And in this case, I think it's gonna be a type 1 action because it's a non-residential and affects more than 10 acres of physical alteration. So that means that we'll get a long form from the applicant, and then we'll proceed through, if the board agrees with this procedure, the part 2 and the part 3, and then having the public hearing, but of course we can go ahead and circulate, for lead agency as we move through that, and then same with, the planning. Isn't this county planning?
It does not go to county.
Oh, no, not county.
But it does need to go to DOT for the access. I don't believe it's an action that requires county planning approval, it's not a site plan, a subdivision, it's approval under a different chapter of the code, 141.
Okay. Good. So then, yes, I think you can say you should vote that this is a type 1 action, and then declare lead agency and circulate that to, interested and involved agencies.
Okay. So we have a type 1 action, and we have a motion to declare type 1 action.
To declare a type 1 action.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Joe. And Cindy, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
That included authorizing you to circulate lead?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Did the vote?
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll make a motion that we're the lead agent, you take over the agency.
Yes,
We did.
we did do that same night.
All on the same page?
I'm a rookie, what can I say? What else? Anything else on this?
That's what we can do tonight?
No? So we're not gonna do, we're not gonna set public hearing date. We're gonna do the long form.
We're gonna do the long form, part 1.
Part 1 is done. It is completed.
But we have a short.
We have a short form right now, we're gonna update that with a long form.
Okay,
Type 1 actions by definition require a long form.
correct. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll just submit that to
Yeah, you'll submit that.
and then be on the next agenda in February,
I couldn't hear you.
and then be on the next agenda in February.
It could be.
Okay. Thank you.
The deadline to submit that would be January 23rd to be on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't have 30 days.
Okay?
So if we hear back from DOT, it's possible, but if we don't, DOT is the only other involved agency.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it would be on the 16th.
No, it would be March 2nd.
There's no meeting on the 16th.
Yeah. It's a holiday.
So
Okay. Thank you very much.
Could we be so bold as to schedule the public hearing March 2nd?
Well, and this comes back to whether you wanna proceed with seeker. This is not required. If you wanna complete seeker first, this is the Department of State guidance, that they prefer that, and that means moving all the way through the part 2 and the part 3 EAFs before having a public hearing, just so that everyone who comes to the public hearing can respond to whatever environmental findings you make, but that's only required for subdivisions. So whatever procedure you prefer to follow, we can set the public hearing on site plans prior to completing seeker.
Pat?
Yeah, just to keep it moving, I was suggesting if we set the public hearing now, we can get the mailings out, and certainly we'll hear back from all the agencies, I think.
Okay, I agree with that. So we'll set a public hearing for March 2nd. Got a motion for Joe's, second by Fred. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're good.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Have a good night.
You're set. Thank you very much. So as I said, I just wanted to, Jen and I sat down about what a complete application is and when it goes on the agenda. After reviewing LaFaro's Timber Harvest, I had noticed that the agent hadn't filled out the correct form. They had two signatures instead of the third signature. Now, if a person's coming in as an agent of the owner and it's not filled out correctly, they really legally cannot bring the application in and bring a check and represent that. So what I wanted from Jim is that I realize we have a deadline, and that's typically the Friday before or 2 weeks before, right? Whatever the date is at 4 o'clock. And we have some of our surveyors that bring and drop it off at 3:55, and expect to be on the agenda.
Probably the majority of them.
You know, and I had asked Jen, I said, well, I see this great big list that you send everything out to. I'd really like to have an opportunity for the planning board members to look at it prior to it going on the agenda. And when you catch something like that, Jen gave them a Monday deadline to have it back. I don't even know if it came back on Monday. We didn't see it until Wednesday that the signature, was notarized. Because Jen just copies it. She copies it and sends it to everybody. Correct, Jen?
Yeah.
I don't put words in your mouth. And
No, they sent me the PDFs. I downloaded on my computer.
you could talk into the mic. I can't hear you. Sorry, Jen.
They send me their applications in PDF, and then I download it to the computer, and then I send it to you guys. You
Right.
get it that Friday, and then if there was a problem, you can let me know on Monday, and then I can have it fixed before the meeting, which nobody lets me know anything.
Right, but as I said, if the application from the agent is not correctly notarized.
Well, like you did, the last one was missing it, you told me right away.
Right.
Not everybody tells me right away if they see something.
Okay.
It was brought up at the meeting. It should be brought up before the meeting, so we have it at the meeting, like you did to me.
Correct.
That's great.
Does everybody understand what I know Cindy, you've been around for a few years. Does that sound reasonable?
Well, usually it's good to have second eyes on the application. I know Jen's got a lot. So a lot of times it would be the chairman that would double check before something goes on the agenda. But there are instances sometimes where you might ask board members to help with that. Just like with a town board, the supervisor is ultimately responsible for what goes on the agenda, but the town board members should be reviewing everything ahead of time as well. So, you know, but you definitely need an extra set of eyes on stuff before it gets put on the agenda.
Right, and that's what, and Jen just, as she says, it comes in by PDF, she just sends it out. She doesn't look at it.
No, that's
Or-
not true.
Oh, that's, okay, you do look at it, but,
I do. When I get them, the hard copies, I flip through, make sure that they're all signed and stamped before they get sent to you guys. Then it gets sent to you.
okay.
But
But
that's,
once-
that's a more in-depth review, so, okay, there's 3 owners here, is there 3 proxies, is there?
Right, that's something that I,
That's something that normally Hannah and I would do, but then we're getting it, you know, I have your comments done by the Friday before, so you guys have the weekend, but
Yeah.
by then it's not fixable for the meeting.
No, it's not, and they're on the agenda.
Yeah, it's good to have a second pair of eyes, because a lot of times, things like lack of notarization, things like that slip through, and then we say, well, or they haven't filled out the ethics.
Yeah, I mean, we've had proxies from people that weren't even the owners, we pick up, you know,
Exactly. So, the other, since we're talking about the application, I'm gonna also talk about site visits. You know, it's our responsibility as a board member to go out to the site, whether you do a drive-by, or whether you need Jim to actually do a, you know, set up an event. I've been going back with Mr. Corcoran about our last, bed and breakfast. Okay? Who's responsible? Well, his opinion feels that, look, we are the ones that should be doing the site visit. We're the ones that should be going out and saying, hey, Jen, you need to set an appointment, we want to go and see the site. Now, if you're doing a bed and breakfast, I guess that means you're gonna have to open your home up for us to possibly look, because, you know, we're at the 3rd hour, and they only have 2 bedrooms in the house, and they're applying for a 3-bedroom. You know what I mean?
Well, also, if there was, perhaps, if there was a little better communications with the building inspector, code enforcement officer, because those B&B, those types of applications are supposed to be simultaneous. So just like tonight, we didn't have anything from the building inspector as to whether, that was news to me, that they had a bedroom, that they had an apartment in that building.
And nowhere in their application does it say that, and that's the first we heard of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. and-
I've been upstairs many times.
The air conditioner in the 2nd floor window may be an indication that they're, you know.
But we were having a situation a couple years ago where the building inspector was giving us a gatekeeper letter for most of the applications, that certainly for the ones that would involve his having to be involved anyway. And maybe we should think about having a discussion as to whether we should go back to that also.
I can get gatekeeper letters. Go ahead, Ann.
And of course, the planning board is allowed to go see sites. That is something that the planning board can do. There are certain things you have to be careful of if you're gonna be going with a quorum. There are certain rules, you know, probably don't do that if possible. And you can't force anyone to open their home to you. You know, they can either get consent or, you know, you're trying to get a warrant or something, which I can't imagine that would happen. So, and even if you were to go there, it's not the planning board's job or prerogative to say whether a structure is or is not in compliance with the code. You're not authorized to do that, in which case you need Tom to say, as the building inspector, this is or is not in compliance. So there are instances where I think it would be helpful for you to go look at a site, but you shouldn't think that you're gonna go out there and say this, oh, I realize this shouldn't have 3 bedrooms when it has 2, when that's not something that you are authorized to do as the planning board.
Right, because we talk about, quite a few of our older homes are non-conforming. My house specifically doesn't have closets in them. You know, that's because it's built in 1849, you know.
Our bigger projects, Sydney and I have done that before. We did one on Latin Town Road,
Right.
we did the one at Pollock's over here. We actually went out and walked the property,
Correct.
a couple times on the larger projects. The ones that we can just drive by, the one here, the B&B, I did drive down there in South Avenue, kind of a weird area there. But, yeah, try to find it where it was. I do try to personally drive by some of these. I would say I go by 40 Western every day, twice a day. I was like, so it's, you know, some of those are like that, but,
Is the purpose of the gatekeeper letter so that Tom would go see every project before there's an approval?
Certainly the ones that he, in a sense, has a vested interest in, like the B and Bs.
A concern, a potential concern?
Well, he issues a permit, he's the next,
Yeah,
and they come for us for approval, and then he has to go to inspection.
but they actually go to him first to
No.
get, I think they go to him to make sure that they can apply, make the application. They come to us first?
Yes.
Oh, I was under the impression that it was done simultaneously.
Yeah, because they take the card from the assessor's office
Property card.
that says that, okay, it's 2 bedrooms, or it's a 3 bedroom, or it's 4 bedrooms. And that's what they use.
And we can actually check that through, the Ulster County parcel has those records as well. Click on there, and gives you what the town thinks there are, number of bedrooms, square footage, number of floors.
But that's, it's only gonna show what is.
What is approved, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the B and B there the other day, that once we got the neighbors, the beauty of the public hearing was the neighbors said, you know, we all know it's a 2-bedroom house, we go next door, we're in that house. While we were here, I went almost a parcel and they said 2-bedroom.
So,
Well, we were doing it for just about everything except for subdivision.
okay, I got it written, yeah.
I don't know that he wants to do it that way, but you might wanna have a conversation and see how we can work out that we're running into these issues and how can we work it out together
Mhm.
possibly.
Cooperation.
Okay. Any other questions? John, we good? John? We're good? Sorry to keep this. Video recording planning board meetings. The town board's been doing it for years, and speaking to other towns,
Used to do it.
planning boards and ZBAs, in other towns are recording their meetings. It's all set up. Jen could get trained on it. And I don't get, and I don't get trained on it, but it's just something that we can put out there and, put up on our website afterwards. It's gonna be the full recording of our meeting for our public, to, be able to watch. And also, you know, when it comes down to minutes, we can, go back and actually, if there's something that's, what's the word I wanna use?
Is there a discrepancy?
Yeah, exactly. So, is anybody opposed to recording the meetings? No? Okay. Jen, you don't get a vote. We'll take it into account, but I think we're gonna move, for their futures, we're gonna, video record our meetings, and I'll come in with Scott and Jen, and we'll figure out how we, over on the computer, how we can do this. Okay?
Danielle can probably help me with that.
All right.
Steve, you're not talking about a live broadcast, you're just talking about recording and keeping.
Recording, oh, I don't have that, that's a whole broadcast thing, I don't know how that's done.
Well, it doesn't get edited, whatever is recorded is what's going on YouTube.
Right.
Right.
The town has a YouTube.
Okay. So that means you won't have to wear a tie. Anything else? Wonderful. Happy New Year, everybody. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Cindy, second by John, all in favor? All right, we'll see everybody on Monday the 2nd. There's no meeting on the 9th.